The Simone Feiler podcast, giving authors a platform. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, have I been enlightened about the blue-collar industry in a big way? Just spent the better part of 11 hours working with Cameron Bird. He's wrapped up his narration of his fabulous debut audiobook, The Blue Collar Bible. Welcome to the Simone Feiler podcast, Cameron.
Thank you.
How was that for you?
It was great. I feel like I really achieved something. Yeah, like it's just to get to this point now. I feel very fulfilled, very content right now.
Awesome. Yeah. You did a really good job in there.
Thank you. Same to you. It was great.
Thank you.
Your patience is amazing. I wish I had someone like you as a mother.
I might be good all right in the studio. I don't know if my kids would agree with you. That's funny. So you've never done anything like this before, have you?
Never, no.
Oh, and this is your first interview?
First interview.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for me it was insightful, not at all what I thought would be in between the pages. Certainly fun, entertaining, and a very clear look into the blue-collar industry and your life working as a sparky.
Yeah.
A very clear look in, amongst other things, obviously.
Yeah.
A very colourful book. We did have a chat before you went into the booth when you first rocked up. You were telling me about your family, how you've got 4 siblings, and they all work in the white-collar industry, and you were kind of the odd one out. And you didn't want to go down the same path.
No.
Yeah, we're floating around until Mum basically said, hey, are you going to actually do anything?
Yeah.
You know what? You're going to start your trade tomorrow. You do open up the Blue Collar Bible with the in-depth story, which was when I basically started thinking, okay, this isn't what I expected. What the heck? But seriously, all these years later, how do you feel taking on the blue-collar industry and the different route from your siblings?
It's an interesting question. I'm really grateful I got into the blue-collar world. When I finished school, I would not have been able to go to university. Yeah, I didn't get good grades. It was OP back then. I think my OP was like 19. Like I didn't try at all. And so it sort of doesn't leave you with a lot of choices. And I didn't really care though. I was like, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to do something.
Did you have anything in mind?
I don't know. I sort of always felt like I'll be a bit of an entrepreneur or something. I ended up having issues at home in year 12 and ended up leaving home / got kicked out. Ooh. And ended up living with friends for a while. And then I went to the brothers at Marist Ashgrove and I said to them, can I come and stay at the boarding school here? And they said, yeah, you can stay at the boarding school, but can you contribute anything? And I said, well, I'm working at McDonald's. I make $90 a week. I'll give you $50 a week of that if you let me stay.
Wow.
And they said, yeah. And sort of the year went by and that was actually an awesome experience. Made a lot of really good friends and got close to the end and I was like, I really want to go to schoolies. That's like all I want to do, but I've got no money. I really want to go to schoolies. So what do? So, just the synchronicities of life. I went to like a party and there was a guy there that sold T-shirts and printed T-shirts. And we started talking and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then nothing came to my mind then, but then like 2 days later, I was like, I'm going to get some shirts printed up.
Okay.
And so I got some shirts printed up. It said, Schoolies 06 on the front. Let's get fucking mental on the back.
Sweet.
And end up selling like hundreds and hundreds of these things.
Oh, wow.
And made shitloads of money. Like for me at the time, like I had $5,000 or something in my account, which was amazing. And went to schoolies. So I guess in that sense, I sort of viewed myself as like, okay, maybe I can do something entrepreneurial or something like that or something creative. Never did I think I was going to go do a trade.
So how long after that did you obviously kept working at McDonald's or you just sort of got back home?
Pretty much after schoolies, I was like, can I come back home now? And they were like, yeah, you can come back home.
Did they ask you if you learnt your lesson or whatever reason it was that you were kicked out?
Nah, our family don't talk about those things.
Okay.
Yeah, it's even almost taboo to talk about it now. I've never really spoken to my parents about that.
Right.
That time. Like, and when we do, they say I left, I say I got kicked out, and it's two different narratives. And what they tell people is different to what my experience was or what I felt. But I think what happened was, it was like, they were like, you've got to go. Like mum came up to me and said, you're not allowed back in the house. You've got to go. But there were warnings prior to that, like if you don't behave or do this, you're out. But then so I left, but I think they expected me to just come back 2 days later. Right. But I never did. Okay. I never came back. So for the rest of the year anyway. So there's a bit of both, I think. Yeah.
Right. And how was it then when you moved back in?
It's fine. Yeah, it was fine. It wasn't for long. I ended up, soon after I got my apprenticeship, I worked for like maybe 3 or 4 months, and then I was out. So yeah.
Well, your mum suggested she actually lined it up for you. You had to go in the next day.
Literally, yeah. So yeah.
How do they feel about you being a Sparky? Are they happy that you actually saw that through?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Mum's always said to me, you should get an apprentice. You should work for yourself. Like she's always said, you should work for yourself.
Okay. She saw that?
Yeah. And she's glad. Like, yeah, there's no issues with it. They I've helped them a lot in their houses that they've they lived in, and siblings, and yeah, it's a great job. So they love it.
Yeah. You'd come in handy for a lot of people.
A lot.
Everybody needs electricity.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, things certainly have changed since I went to high school, probably since you went to high school as well, but they get an opportunity to start a trade while they're at school now. Mm-hmm. Is that the same with you?
Yeah. So when I was at school, there were, but it was like really uncommon. Yeah. It wasn't really mainstream. It was kind of like the naughty kids that did that,
There's always there is that stigma attached, even today, isn't there?
Totally.
The naughty kids become tradies.
Yeah, totally. I still see it, and I don't know if this has been biased, but I feel like there's less of the naughty kids in the electrical trade.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think if you're in the industry, you'd probably agree, but maybe not, but...
who are the naughtiest then?
I don't know, plumbers, no. Concreters, I don't know, more like the manual labour trades, I think. More like the naughtier sort of kids. But I don't know if I want to step on too many toes here. I'm not really too sure.
They get better though. They're really naughty to begin with, Everyone. But then once they get to know their trade.
Yeah, and there's nothing like the rude awakening of the real adult world to pull a lippy, naughty kid in line.
Yeah.
They're not going to... No adult's going to take shit from some little smart-ass kid. So, yeah, it's probably like the best rude awakening that any naughty kid could have, I suppose.
The real world.
Yeah.
Into a trade,
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys, I mean, once you get your trade and you're qualified, you can... be quite harsh, from what I've heard in your book. But I was going to ask you, what would you if we've got 17-year-olds listening now, what would be your number one reason to encourage them to get into a trade?
The first thing that just came to my mind just then was the camaraderie. It's just fun. Like, you sit... Okay, for example, I had a really small stint in real estate like a few years ago. I thought, I'm going to try this. I'll just go try it for money. COVID happened. Everyone just sort of had a midlife crisis then, and I had mine.
Yeah.
And I remember the first few days when I got to the office, I was trying to talk to people about things and in the way, I suppose, that I was used to. And that is just honesty. Like, everyone in the blue collar world says it exactly how it is. Like, if you had a good date on the weekend or a bad date, you would soon know all about it, all the details, what her social security number is if he knew. Like, you know everything, and no one keeps anything in. And it's just funny and fun, and there's camaraderie, and then it's banter. Comes Friday, you're like, man, are you going to go see that girl again? But real estate, I would come in and I had this, one of the first few days, I had a funny story that happened to me on the weekend prior to starting, and I wanted to share it, and I got in trouble. Oh. It was to do with dating not dating, but
surprise.
hooking up with some girls. And but it was a really funny story. Like, I was like, man, I can't wait to tell people this. It's a great story. And then I got in trouble. They're like, you can't talk like that here. No shop talk at all. Like, it was like really like,
Wow.
And after that, I was like,
don't be yourself.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? You can't even... Sorry about my language, but yeah.
I'm out of there.
So the blue collar world for young people is just, you can be yourself. You know, you're going to get celebrated even if you are the naughty kid. Your friends are still going to like you. You know, like if you're interesting character, like you just be yourself. You can talk about anything to people. There's good mentors to lean on. You know, like a lot of the older guys, older tradesmen will take you under their wings, but there's like a whole lot of experience there. A wealth of knowledge, I think you would say. Is that right?
Yeah, wealth of knowledge.
You know,
emotionally as well.
Totally. Yeah. So I think in this day and age, there's like not enough mentors. I think for young people, it is a good thing. Yeah.
It sounds cool. It sounds like a really groovy little club. A big club, huge. Yeah. Shout out to the tradies. You guys are the salt of the earth. You keep the country built, plumbed, lit, so much more. For the wannabe blue-collar worker, what's your advice on how to find out what trade would suit them, depending on how naughty they are?
I think you've just got to try. I think you've got to go get your construction card and just go do some work experience. That's the best way. It's funny because... especially when we were young and different friends were getting into different trades, there wasn't really a rhyme or reason. There was some people that went and did this, some people that went and did this. It was just really about what interested people more. Yeah. And like I looked at my friend Alex who did a plumbing apprenticeship and I was like, dude, you're fucking crazy. Why the hell do you want to do that? And I never, but then he would be like, I love this job. I love this. And it was just the passion that he had. I've never seen any apprentice ever have, and I just think, there's a place in the blue collar world for you. You've just got to try. You've just got to call someone up and say, hey, can I come and do a few days work experience? Or go do some labouring on a site. So I did, straight after school, I did labouring for like 8 weeks at a school. There was like a big demolition thing going on there. And then a reconstruct of these classrooms. So I had to do it really quick. And I got to see all the trades work in like a really quick time frame, like plumbers, sheeters, carpenters, electricians. And that exposed me to everything. And I was like, all right, this is cool. Get out there and see what you like.
How do you do that? How do you find out about these things?
Well, for me, it was my auntie and uncle. They told me. So if you don't have family and friends, there's labour hire. You can go on Seek. Yeah, I don't know if I'm the most qualified person to answer that, but
well, that's a gateway in already. So you just look around there.
Totally, and you just get your construction.
You just get off your phone, get off your game, and go look.
Yeah, exactly. Go get a hard hat and a pair of boots and walk on a job.
Yeah, put my phone away. Well, obviously, from what I've just heard, the work is really hard. Sometimes it's incredibly long hours, definitely rewarding, but it's also a lot about beer and sex.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were like, this is the Bible.
And I gave you the PG version, I swear. If I had published what I originally... maybe that edition too. But.
Slightly blushing sometimes behind the microphone. Luckily, I wasn't looking at you. What? You definitely got some crazy stories in there. Standouts, though, for me. Apprentices getting a hard time. Working for your different personalities, your bosses. A carton of beer being the solution to absolutely every problem. The things that you see on site or close to the site. Overall, the camaraderie between the tradies, that certainly was very evident. You've obviously made some lifelong friends working in the industry. Yeah,
I've made a lot of friends, a lot. And I guess it's probably the same for everyone in workplaces, but it's like a spider web. The longer you're in the industry, the bigger your web gets. And you worked in such close confinement with someone on one job and you did a project with them, you might have been with them for 3 months or 6 months or 12 months. Then they go to another job and then that extends your spider web of knowledge. And then they're on a job with 20 other people that they know. So you can call this guy. If he doesn't know anything, he'll call his 20 mates. So as you get on and grow, and you now I'm at this amazing point where I make 3 phone calls and I've got work if I need it. You know, that's the best thing about it.
Yeah, that's cool. What about the pranking apprentices? Some of the stories in your book, damn, hilarious. But have you got advice to newbies? They're gonna suffer pranking.
Yeah, pranking apprentices is I don't know if it's as bad anymore. I don't know.
Sure.
It's probably
as if that's.
But the stories that I have in there are severe. I don't know if that happens anymore. I really don't. I'm sure it happens. Like, it must do, right?
You think, well, I mean, a leopard doesn't change its spots.
Yeah.
It's been going on for years.
Yeah. I reckon it would have been way worse back in the day, before social media. And now you'd probably risk a lawsuit. But yeah, advice: just don't be lippy. The lippy kid's gonna get it back, I swear. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So there's no avoiding that, you reckon?
Nah. There's to an extent, but no. The bigger jobs, the more unionized jobs, will be less pranking and stuff. The smaller jobs, the smaller businesses, will be a lot more.
Yeah. You're big on advocating for unions. Why do you reckon that's important?
I think it's because I've seen both sides. So I came up in the tier 3 to tier 2 and then went to tier 1. And obviously I explained that all in the book. Yeah. But I've seen job sites that didn't have a union presence and received the wages of that, you know, because the non-union jobs pay less.
Yeah.
And then I've seen the projects which have union presence and taking union wages, and the difference is so vast, and your quality of life is so vastly different. So I'm an advocate for it because safety is a big thing.
Yeah. And
for me and for most people, and union sites are really, really, really safe. I think there's definitely statistics out there. I don't know them off the top of my head, but I think there hasn't been a death in Queensland on a union job in, I think, like 20 years or something.
Wow, that's awesome.
You know, and so you can make literally nearly double what you would.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
worth it.
Quality of life's better, and you know, trying to advocate for people to join a union, it's just coming from the side of seeing both sides. And then I just have this sort of broad view where if everyone is in a union, then that would bring everyone up. Yeah. And that's what I agree with. Not just some people getting it. If everyone's contributing, everyone's doing it, well, then that will eventually bring everyone up, and that's what I'd like to see. Yeah. Everyone gets the same wages.
So are there many different areas or people in the industry that aren't involved, or like private companies?
Totally, yeah. So the union, it's really only your big jobs. It's almost mandatory. Like you wouldn't walk on a big job. Say like the last job I came off was Queen's Wharf in the city.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to walk on that job if you weren't a member.
Okay.
You wouldn't get like, how to explain this? There's no like big union boss going blah blah. Like there are, but it's the boys. We are all the union. Union is the people. So the boys would just be like, there's no way you and I are gonna take the same wages, and I'm gonna pay for my union fees, which got us these wages, and you're gonna stand here and take the same wages and not pay.
Yeah.
You know, the boys wouldn't have it.
You're not working with us.
Yeah. But the smaller businesses, they wouldn't. Most people, I would say, wouldn't be a union member because they're not getting the wages and receiving the conditions. So that should change, and that is starting to change. Tier 2 now, which is your mid-tier, they're signing a tier 2 EBA, so the wages are less than what you would get in tier 1, but it's still a lot better than what you would get normally in tier 2.
Right.
So they're trying to sort of...
It's working its way up.
Yeah.
Slow and steady.
Yeah.
You guys deserve to get paid more. Same with the nurses and, you know, the fireys. Everyone needs a good pay rise.
Totally. Teachers, everyone.
Yeah. You know, you guys are doing the hard... We can't live in a house. We can't have electricity. We can't have, toilet. It can't be taught. Can't have the fires put out.
Seriously.
Pay rises all round. And what about getting on with the various bosses? I mean, you described quite a few bosses in your book that have got different personalities, bipolar.
Yeah. How do you get along with a boss? Honestly, I say this at the end of the book, like one of the rules to be a good apprentice, and I think it's just attitude. If he's a dickhead, there's probably not a lot you can do. But if you have a good attitude, that's probably your best chance of getting along with someone. You know, don't be lippy and have a good attitude. Just, yep, no worries, whatever you need. And, you know, just try and just put in some effort. And I think that'll get you, that'll earn your respect with most people. And if you do happen to get a once in a lifetime boss that's an absolute dickhead,
get another
then
job.
It's so you can move on, or you can just deal with it and put up with it. You don't need to be there forever. The important thing is you just finish your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Or if you're not an apprentice, you're a tradesman, just leave. Yeah. I wouldn't put up with that.
No. I think people can be more diplomatic. We've all come a long way to realise it's just about being nice to one another.
Yeah.
What about the phones? You do talk about the phone. I mean, they're a pandemic.
Oh, it's insane, Simone.
I think that's the pandemic, isn't it?
Yeah, the apprentice, like there was an apprentice on my last job that he wouldn't do a task without having his phone in his hand. I don't even know how he did anything. He was just constant. And I thought to myself, he still got some work done, granted, but I just thought to myself, there's an image in my mind of this guy, and it's always of him holding a phone. I'll never get that image out of my head because that's all I can think of.
Wow.
So if he was to ever call me in the future and say, hey, Bertie, can I get a job? I would never help him.
Wow.
Never in a million years would I help him.
Are you listening, kids?
Yeah. So it's not even like, it's just about how you present yourself. It's, you know, it's so important. If you're just going to be that guy that's on the phone all the time, like, people will remember that. Then your spider web of people to help you out in the future doesn't grow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And you're not going to miss anything. Let's face it. Just put it down for an hour.
Yeah.
All the notifications are going to be there.
Yeah, seriously. Bloody TikTokers.
How many hours? 16. That's not even that many hours. What, that you're awake? What the heck? Put it away.
Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok.
Are you?
Of course I'm on TikTok. Are you?
No.
What?
Yeah, I've never had it. I have got a friend, he's an auto sparky, and he loves TikTok. He says he can find out, because I use YouTube a lot to find things out.
Yeah.
He said TikTok he can find out in like a minute.
Yeah.
And it's like the videos are really short, so he gets his answer really
Straight
quickly.
away.
And I'm like, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's fun.
But I get stuck in the Instagram reels sometimes, and I come out of the rabbit hole. I'm like, oh man, I just wasted an hour. Like,
yeah, that's
just
the
gone.
problem. I watch TikTok before I go to bed and think it's like 9:30. I'm going to just watch it for a couple of minutes. Next minute, it's like 11 o'clock. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the heck? I just wasted all that time.
Seriously.
But yeah, I like social media. I don't get enough time. Obviously, with my job, I'm really busy doing this. But I think it's a good way for marketing. Like for you, I think you should get on it and start talking about your book and,
Yeah.
you know, it's a good way to promote.
I've got to definitely learn to navigate this next step now.
Yeah.
You know, the publishing. Now the book's published, then once this is published, I've got to navigate that. But
So tell me how you started writing the book. Obviously, you've done a lot of, you're a tradie. You've worked in the industry 15 plus years.
Yeah.
So I'm writing a book now.
Yeah, well, I just started writing. Well, I was going through a bit of a tough patch, and I was always quite creative. You know, sort of post-relationship breakup, and then living in the city, partying, drinking, working, just like girls, women, everything, just for like a good like few years.
Work hard, play hard.
Everything. And it was fun, but then I started getting so fucking depressed, and I was so hating myself. I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? You know? So I just started writing. I just started with small stuff, small little things, poems, and then I started doing some stand-up comedy.
Damn.
And
How'd you get into that?
I was drunk and high, and I was online, and I saw this thing pop up for this introductory comedy school. A week. Went over 2 weekends.
Okay.
And then you did an open mic set. Not an open mic, but a 5 to 10 minute set at the comedy club in Paddo.
Right, wicked.
And everyone invites their family and friends or whatever who they want to invite. And I came home drunk and high, and I was like, that's a great idea. I'm doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
And then I woke up the next morning and I was like,
What the hell?
what the fuck is this? Like, this email. And I was like, oh my fucking God. All right, I'm doing it now.
Oh, it's so cool that you saw that through.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
'Cause usually you could just say, nah, not doing that. That's drunk me.
Yeah. Obviously, there was something in me that wanted to.
How was that? How did...
I loved it. When I got off stage, I'll have to show you the video.
Cool.
When I got off stage, like I said to Mel, girl I was seeing, still am kind of seeing, I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I loved it. It was the best feeling.
Awesome.
It was so cool.
What, the audience or just delivering it or what?
Everything. I just felt like in a flow state, like I felt like in a completely, like everything was open, every part of me, and I wasn't
That's such a good feeling.
stuck in my head. It was just like, it was flow.
Wicked.
But it took a lot of preparation. There was definitely tears before getting up. Like the day before I was crying. I was like,
Yeah.
and I'd written my script, and then like 2 days before, I was like, this is trash, and just scrapped it. And then like the one day before, just did another script, and it actually went really well. But yeah, that's how I got into writing, and I kept writing, and then I kept doing some journaling, kept writing for jokes. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, all right, I'm going to just start writing what ended up turning into be this book. And I didn't have a plan on writing it. I just sort of started writing, and it just, one thing led to another.
Right.
And I got it probably like 4 or 5 chapters in. I was like, this could be something.
Yeah. It certainly is. It's a ride, I'm telling you.
Well, the first editor I had, he said, this is trash. He said he doesn't like it. And
What
then
the heck?
I'm glad I stuck with it because I enjoy it. I like it. A second editor was like, man, I love this.
Yeah, I really
This
enjoyed
is
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is so different. This is cool. And he said to me, I was not expecting this.
That's exactly how I felt when we had the first conversation, and then you told me it's called the Blue Collar Bible. I was like kind of expecting a manual, I think, for the blue collar industry. So when you opened up with your first chapter, I'm like, what the heck is this? Okay. So there's lewd bits all over it.
Yeah.
All within it.
That was one of the bits my dad was like, you've got to, like, it was the day before I came here, and he's halfway through reading it now, and he's like, I know you're recording tomorrow, but there's just a few things I have to point out. I think you should change this. And it was that, like, what you're referring to in the first chapter. He said, you should change that. And I was like, the fact that you've said that to me makes me want to keep it.
Yeah, that's the lesson
Juicy.
for the parents.
Yeah.
Say no to the kids. They're going to do that. Yeah. Well, I think it's very honest, It's honest and raw and very insightful into the industry. And where are you at now? I mean, you've written a book. You've done the audio book. Are you still doing stand-up?
I haven't, because I went overseas last year in September, and I only literally got back 5 weeks ago. And then I've been busy getting the book finished. So where I'm at now is that's probably the next thing. I was thinking, do I write book number 2? But I might just put it on ice for a little bit and get back into writing.
What about construction? Where are you at in the blue-collar industry?
I'm currently working for a friend with an opportunity to buy into his business. Where I'm at with that is not too sure. I think what my heart is telling me to do is go follow my creative self, and this creative thing inside of me is starting to grow. I'm starting to get a lot clearer vision of where I can go with that and what my life could become from that.
What can we ask? What that is? Can I ask what that?
Just
what is
honestly, to do comedy, like take it seriously and hopefully professionally.
Awesome.
But that would take a lot of time and dedication because I'm very much still in the early stages.
Yeah.
But working full time 6 days a week, which we do a lot in construction, it's really hard to harness the time to give creative passions. Writing was something I did on a Sunday afternoon. It wasn't until I went to New York last year and had I had a 3-month block where I could actually really finish the book. Like the book I'd still be writing now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, to really dedicate that time.
to have a passion that you want to turn into
Gold.
You've got to give it time.
Yeah.
So what I want to do now is give my passions time, and that's comedy and that's writing.
I think it's really important. The more I work with people like yourself, authors, and the more I read, you've got one life, you've got to do what you love doing, you know, and you will be rewarded for it. That's what I've noticed, that the authors that I've worked with, you are rewarded for your gift. And if you sit there and you lose hours and hours doing whatever it is you love, that's your gift. Do that more and you will be remunerated for it.
Yeah. You look at anyone that's become successful, they always had to grind. They always had to hustle, but they always get there if they keep going. There's no ifs or buts about it. If you want it and you keep going, you get it.
Yeah, that's it.
Take
your words of advice there.
Yeah, I know.
So you're staying here or you're heading off, or what are you doing?
Probably the States. Yeah. So the plan is to, in probably January, straight after Christmas, piss off.
Sweet.
Yeah. Go to the States. I've applied at the moment for a visa. It doesn't allow me to work, but it means I can stay there for 6 months at a time. And either, I just want to put myself in one of the creative hubs. So maybe Austin, New York, LA, and probably end up being New But
I love New York so much.
It's insane.
Yeah, my favorite city in the whole world.
There's so much creative ammunition.
Yeah.
For writing and
everything.
You walk down the road, you'll see two goth kids walking. One has a nose ring in the middle of his nose and a dog leash, and the other one's walking him. Yeah. And no one even looks sideways. It's just there's so much insanity there, and everyone is so immune to it. So when you go there with a fresh set of eyes,
don't stare.
You're just like, whoa, man! People live like this. This is insane.
Yeah.
Right. This is so funny.
Land of the free, man.
Yeah, I feel like the Americans are free.
Yeah.
They don't have healthcare, and the government doesn't.
Got guns, man.
The government doesn't look after them in that sense, but their spirit's free. You can go to New York and I don't know, you can do things there and say things there that you can't say here. Yeah, there's a spirit there in that country that I've really learned to love. Yeah, it's very, very, very free. It's hard to describe. Probably free until you do something stupid and get arrested, and then you're fucked.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I mentioned I don't know what it is either. But I know here there's a lot of the tall poppy syndrome where you get knocked down, whereas they're more forgiving over there, and encouraging, if you want to do something. So it's a great place to be, especially if you've got accommodation you can stay at. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, congratulations. Congratulations on all you've done, your whole career, writing this book. I think that's also helping youngsters get into the industry and a small insight as to what they can expect getting into the industry, and also about your life, how, you went through your depression to come out the other end and now heading off to New York. And maybe we'll see Carl Barron's coming to town very soon, doing the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. I think he sold out 2 shows. I've got my ticket. I love him.
Have you?
Yeah, but maybe we'll see you there one day.
Yeah, I would
How
love
good would that be? That'd be awesome. I can say, I know that guy. I ring Cam, can I come backstage? That'd be wicked. But for now, how can people find out more about you and your book?
Instagram. So it's at Cam Birday, CAMBIRDAY. Or if you want to buy the book, you can go to www.thebluecollarbible.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for doing that with me,
Simone.
And
That's
having
great.
a chat.
Really good experience.
Ditto.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining the Simone Feiler podcast.
What's your story?
Contact Simone for a chat at brisbaneaudiobookproduction.com.